Good evening, everyone. It is great to be back. It's been so long since I've been here. I've missed you all. Can't wait to catch up with you all. Can't wait to hear from you all. Hope there's lots of you. I'm sure there's lots of things to talk about at the moment. Everything's going on with VAR, with the United games. Everyone just feeling sorry for themselves. Had enough of it. Just can't wait for the next game. Don't want to see the next game, whatever it might be. Hopefully we've got an action-packed show tonight. Can't wait to speak to you all. We've got my good friend Jarvis here. He's going to be joining us. I'll bring him onto the stage right now. There he is. Good evening, Jarvis.
Hello.
How you doing, mate? Okay?
Big up, everybody. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good.
Nice
Good. Glad to be here with all this. Yeah, I'm trying to make a good studio. Make some production value. But
it's looking good, mate.
That's
looking
cool.
Really good. Looking sharp. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So let's get on with the show, guys.
Yeah, let's start.
So,
where
we go.
Sorry, I just gonna find the right intro. Nice start.
Try that again. Just reverse it back. Good evening. On with the show. There we go.
There it is.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Bit of a rusty start there. Bit of a rusty start.
I gotta be honest. I'm used to having Mickey here to fix everything for me. I just sit there and drink my tea and laugh and talk football. So it's just the way it is. But good to see all those people in the chat. I see a lot of familiar faces here. Maybe you want to say hi to them, Phil?
Absolutely, yeah. I've just been just before the show started. I've just seen through some of the comments. Lots of chat going on about relationships, nothing to do with Man United. So I'm not going to read those out. Not going to share those with everybody. That's not for the thousands of people to see. However, it is good to see some of the regulars that I certainly recognise. Yala, good evening. I'm just trying to see on the ones that I can click on. So I'll just throw you on in quickly. If you're in there, big rumor around the takeover next week. Possibly we might be discussing that a little bit later on. Jamie Wayne, good evening. Very good regular on the show. Yala mentioning that Liverpool's game a little bit earlier. Goal disallowed. I've not seen that, but yeah, great to hear that they obviously went through a lost. Stephanie, good evening. Good evening, Stephanie. As always, one of the most regular people on this show, more than Mick, Jarvis, and myself combined, I think. Good evening. And then we've got, who else? We've got RJ. Good evening, RJ. How you doing? You okay?
RJ.
Let me just see if you've just not commented in the chat yet. Just throw a little name in. Good evening, Mark. Mark Davis asking, is it true about Jim Radcliffe possibly taking over on Monday? Well, we've heard this lots of times before. We've heard he was taking over last year, last month, last week, next week. Let's be honest, nobody knows. People are just guessing. It's the international break. It seems a good opportunity to do it. So it might happen, but if you say it enough times, eventually you'll get it right, or not.
Yeah,
or not. Who else have we got? Who else can I give a shout out to? Red J. Good evening, Red J. Good evening. How you doing? You all right? And John Johnson in the house. How are you doing? Hand pink waving. Yeah, very good. Hand pink waving. Good evening. Good evening, John Johnson. Carlos, done with MUFC, taking a break. Hopefully this is your break. Done with MUFC for tonight. On again at the weekend.
Matty, Carlos, come on.
How you doing, Matty? And then William Connolly. Good evening. How you doing, mate? Good to see you in the show. Thank you. Peace and blessings, everyone, from RJ. Lovely. Fantastic. So, yeah, great. If anybody else just wants to drop your name in, just make sure we can see you all, make sure we can give you a shout out, and make sure we've not missed anybody. I think I've caught everybody so far who's commented. Jarvis, obviously, last night, not quite the result we expected after the first 30 minutes. What's your overall thought in the first 30 minutes? What was your thoughts going through your mind at the time? Like,
Well, today I've been seeing a little bit of the game over again. I haven't had time to see the whole 90 minutes, but I saw the first half, and I have to say, I'm actually really positive by the game. The first 30 or 40 minutes up until Rashford got a red card, we were actually really good. We were playing like a good transition team. We were, you remember when Ten Hag promised us that this season we will we will be the best transition team in the world. That was his goal, and
Yeah.
and I would say we were probably one of the best transition teams I have seen this season in all of the world. We had 7 high takeovers in the last third. We had takeovers, and we created a lot of chances, and both our goals was on a transition, a good old counter attack, or not a counter attack, but transition is the buzzword we use. So it's about attacking right away when you win the ball. So in a way, I think it was good, but the red card ruined everything. It's about the mentality of the players. I believe they should be more focused and have more resilient, even when referees and everybody goes against us. We should be able to handle that now. We have been doing this all the season, so I'm disappointed by the players in a way. But the first 30 minutes, I think we were brilliant. And to be honest, when I saw this, it made me think maybe it's a turning point in the season. Maybe this is a turning point, and we will win by 3 to 4 goals against Luton this weekend. That's my gut feeling at the moment.
Wow, that's normally your predictions are normally like 1-0, maybe even a 1-1 draw sort of thing. So that's positive. That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the thing is, I agree. When I was watching the first half, we looked not just because we scored 2 goals, which is a bit of a rarity for us at the moment. But in the way we scored them, the movement, the passing, we just looked completely in control. The way that Copenhagen played us when they were at Old Trafford, completely different. We expected to not get slaughtered. I saw some comments in social media yesterday saying we're not going to be able to take the actual atmosphere itself because we'll just crumble under it. And you might say that eventually we did. I don't know. We know about the Spurs game where they played a ridiculously high line. Very, very bizarre tactics. Almost worked for them. Nearly got them through into about the 86th minute. I think it was something like that when they capitulated. But I thought that we were in control. But then you have to question, where does the mentality go when something goes wrong? Because I think by the letter of the law, the card that Rashford got, I still think it was harsh. We've seen it tonight. Endo for Liverpool. He got a yellow card for the exact same tackle in Europe.
Yeah.
It just frustrates so much because it's not just that moment. It's like, oh yeah, we could have got it right, we could have got it wrong. It's the impact of what it's had. It's gone on. We were completely in control. We were cruising. I thought Rashford on the right was looking interesting, something that was working quite well. Obviously, his cutback for the to McTominay for the cross. It was just working so well. It was great to see. I was confident. I was absolutely loving it, and then it just fell to pieces. Absolutely gutted. And I think even when we went 3-2 up, you think, okay, can we do this? And commentators were saying, I believe there's another, I think it was Robbie Savage was saying, I think there's another goal for United in this. And potentially there could have been, but we were, and it was great to see that when we were down to 10 men, we were still carrying on. We came out that second, those 2 quick goals. I've not had a chance to see them back now. I know that Ten Hag was saying that one was offside, first goal. Is that right? Yeah.
That's right. So, they had a player standing in front of Onana when the shot was, but they didn't look at it at the VAR, and that's the strange thing. I don't know. I can't understand why they didn't even look at it.
I think there's so many things at the moment that it's the inconsistency of the VAR, isn't it? And I think that's one of the things that we're going to be discussing tonight. I know that we know VAR room, there's a lot of frustration out there with the VAR decisions. So Jarvis has been looking through some information, grabbing some details of what's gone on and what's gone against us. And we'll go through that in a short while. I'm just going to quickly go back to the VAR room because since we last gave a shout out to everybody, many more of you joined and have started commenting. Lewis Green, good evening. I'm just going to try and catch you all. Good evening, Lisa. It's good evening, Phil Jarvis and VAR room. Milos Mitic. I cannot translate, so forgive me. But good evening, Milos.
Dobre večer means good evening.
Good evening. Okay, very good. Dobre večer. Is that correct? Dobre večer.
Yes.
Is that right?
Dobre večer, Jarvis.
Yeah. Is that okay?
And
Dobre večer. You sound much better than I do. Phil, is that me? Jarvis and Phil.
Yeah.
What's that? Pozdrav Munchi?
Yeah.
How do you do? What's that mean? Any
I
ideas?
can't speak Serbian, so
we didn't do too bad. Good evening, Jarvis and Phil. We'll take that. Thank you, Milos. Jamie Wayne, Yala, RJ, Milos Mitic, just scrolling through. Mark Davis. Okay, question from Mark. Just both think it was a red card for Rashford. We've kind of just touched upon that a little bit. I think at the end of the day, we've seen many occasions, including tonight, as we've already touched on with the Endo situation. It's not always a red card. And the thing is, he didn't even look at the player. He didn't glance across to see where he was or anything. He was literally turning it in transition and trying to defend the ball. It was as simple as that, and he did stand on his ankle, no doubt about it, but there was zero intent. I don't even think it can call dangerous. Do you know what I mean? There's no maliciousness involved, no intent. There was nothing. So, Mark, to answer your question, I think it was very harsh. It made me feel. It took me back to when Nani got his red card for United against Real Madrid. It took me back. It gave me that anger again of that was such an unjust decision in a game where we were in control, and it took me straight back to that. So to answer your question, Mark, for myself, it could have been given as a red, but what my issue is, which we're going to be discussing a bit later on, is the inconsistencies within the VAR.
Yeah.
If that's a red, it should always be a red. Always. No doubt about it. Player turns around, stands on somebody, it should be a red. I don't think it should be a red because at the end of the day, there was zero intent, no effort, no attempt to look at the player, to get in the way, to just literally trying to plant his foot to guard the ball. That's all he was trying to do. So for me, shouldn't be a red. Shouldn't be a red at all. He was trying to guard the ball and protect himself. Didn't dive in or pull his leg or anything.
The thing is, Phil, how I see it, I've been playing football all my life. I played football for almost 40 years. I don't play the game anymore, but I remember when I played, it's about shielding the ball, and you always stomp out your foot, and sometimes you hit the opposition player. And I used to play without the big toenail. The toenail always fell off during the season because someone stomped on my foot, and that's just the way it is. It's how football is.
Nobody's eating any tea or supper or just on an early breakfast. Just thank you. I'll put that down.
But the thing is,
Jarvis's toenail highlight of the night.
Yeah, they were long gone when I was playing football every season. But the thing is, it's the way football is, and when you shield the ball and you play the ball with the feet, and sometimes the feet hits each other. The problem with me and this situation with Rashford, he didn't put his body in the line for the defender. He just took his foot out, and that was where he was wrong because it made it look much worse than it could. If he had shielded with his body,
his legs seemed to extend out, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's Rashford's biggest
was that
problem.
Not just holding his body for? Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. So do you think it was a red or an orange?
Yeah, we could have given a yellow because he hit his leg, but the issue lies with how he shields. he needs to utilize his body more and not just rely on his footwork. That's what I'm saying. So in a way, Rashford should be more careful and learn how to shield the ball. But and at the end of the day, he's a winger or a forward attacker, so they usually don't do that. But you can see when Hojlund shields the ball, he uses all his body. No one comes past him. But Rashford, he just stick his foot out and not his body, and that's the problem. That's why he got the red card, I believe, because when you see it in slow motion, it looks like he stomps his foot out on purpose.
Yeah, slow motion was awful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was just happy to see Rashford back defending. To be honest, it was good. He was up and down the wing. He was forward. He was tracking back. I thought he was putting in a good shift. It was a shame that. Moving on from Mark's comment, Madhouse. Good evening. Good evening, Madhouse. Angie. Good evening, Angie. How you doing? Hello, everyone. And pink waving. Jarvis, Smudge, chat, and VAR room. Yes, just make sure I've caught everybody else. Nick Spooner, there we go. So feel sorry for Rashford. You could see it in his face with the red card. I think he feels the world's against him. That's it. He didn't get angry about it. He just laughed. He's just like, "Are you kidding me? What next? Are you absolutely kidding me?" He was just laughing about it because it's just so pathetic that there was zero intent there, and I completely agree with your statement, Nick. Absolutely. Good evening, Bestie.
Sorry,
as always. Yeah, go.
Yeah, sorry, Mark. I just want to say on Rashford, when it comes to, you can see it on his face, and the news afterwards, 10 o'clock after the game was finished, it came out that his brother was arrested for domestic abuse in US.
When was this?
So
last night.
Last night, 10 o'clock after the game ended, after Rashford got a red card, then the news breaks, and this happened. I think it was. Did they say 28th of September or something? So it's long time ago, and suddenly the news broke, and the journalist chose to break it right after the game when United lost and Rashford get the red card. So for me, I don't understand, but I think they are really out to get us, to get United and get the players. And
it feels it. I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, one of the headlines that came out. Rashford fails again or something like that. It was like, oh, come on. Absolutely. It was just like, it was just couldn't wait to have a go sort of thing. It was, I don't know. I just don't understand the journalists. At the end of the day, if it was England and they would be like trying to get behind, would they be trying to get behind them? I don't even know anymore. I can't even work it out. Good evening, Malt. Can the United first team do something on Saturday, which they've not done for 8 months, beat a team by more than one goal? Malk, I'd just take the win. More than one goal would be lovely, but just to get the win would be perfect. I mean, I thought the game against I've not seen you guys for a few weeks, to be honest. But I thought the game against Fulham was exactly what we needed. I wanted us to get a clean sheet. I wanted us to look in control of the game. I wanted us to come away with a win, and those three things I wanted, we got. Yes, it would have been great to score more, but we looked in control. And again yesterday, last night, until we saw this Rashford sending off. Malk, I think we can do it, but I also need to remember what Liverpool did when they turned up last week against Luton, thinking we're playing the team near the bottom of the league, we'll roll these over. I was talking to one of my mates who's a Liverpool fan. I know, I admit it in public. I apologise, but he was a friend before he was a fan. He was a fan before he was a friend. No, but joking aside, at the end of the day, they just turned up, I think, with the wrong attitude, thinking it was a win-win. It was already done. If we turn up like that, it's not going to happen. But so I think the fact that we're not playing great at the moment might actually work in our favor, because we're having to give full focus, and that's something we're not doing. We're losing focus. It happens again. It's happened again and again and again throughout the season. One little lapse of focus, one little lapse of concentration, and there's a goal conceded. Carry on looking through the VAR room.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday too, when it comes to the mentality of the game, Phil, and it's not just this season. It was last season when we had the 7-up against Liverpool and we lost 6-3 against Manchester City. When the going gets tough, we lose our head. And this is nothing new. We have seen it when Solskjaer lost the Europa League final. We saw it when we lost all the three semi-finals. We see it over and over again. We have lost the mentality, the resilience of the team. So I'm not sure what's going on, but the common denominator of it all is not the managers or the players. It's the owners. So for me, I think they have installed a culture in the club that's not about winning and performance. It's about money and other things.
Yeah. I mean, Steph says here, you know, VAR, the only consistency they have when they're penalising United. And again, we will come to that in a very short while when Jarvis brings some of the statistics up that he's been looking through today. Yeah. And good question by Malk. Is Ten Hag taking this team forwards or backwards? That's the question. I don't think he's taking it backwards. I know that every manager has got injury issues at times, but I just feel that, you know, when we saw Wan-Bissaka back, straight away we saw a difference in the defence. We're seeing Maguire, in my opinion, playing some really good football. I'm not saying he's not going to mistake in him, but right now he's playing some really good football. He looked like he played through the pain barrier the other night against Fulham, where he took about three knocks to the head. And how he just carried on, I do not know, but I just thought it was immense. I think, Malk, to answer your question, I think it's hard to say at this moment. He's trying to, you know, when people can say United had millions and millions to spend, how many of those players did he want? How many were forced on him? How many was poor negotiations, which meant that he had no money left? When you look, we had Weghorst on loan. We had a Burnley player on loan because we couldn't afford to buy him, and he was on loan from Wolfsburg. And then he went back to Burnley. And then we've obviously got Amrabat, who we knew we wanted for most of pre-season. And then we leave it to the 2 or 3 weeks after the season started. And then we end up getting him on a loan. It's like, come on, you know, how is Ten Hag supposed to work with this? We all know that Amrabat hasn't yet settled. And pre-season would have been perfect. It's exactly what you need. That's what you need your new players for, to bed in and see how they adapt to the league and adapt with the team. I think Ten Hag has certainly taken the club forwards. When you think of, you know, if you go back a year and you look at the VAR room a year ago, what everyone was saying, what social media was saying, is fantastic. Ten Hag's coming in, he's getting rid of the dross, he's getting rid of the players who've had new contracts who didn't deserve it. You know, we could list so many players. I don't want to go into certain players because of mental United and stuff like that. But we know that players who've been here for years, who've been hanging on, have now gone. People who were causing issues behind the scenes have gone. You know, and he stood up and made some big, bold calls. Especially with the Ronaldo situation, and some say, "Oh, we should have kept him." Just, you know, I still disagree. But at the end of the day, he's made some bold calls. He's trying to work with the team he's got. Yes, he's had some money to spend. With the Anthony signing, obviously that was one that he really wanted. There was no doubt about that whatsoever. It's not working. It's not working. He's trying to nail his close to the mast and show that the player that he believed in has got it in him. And we know he's got it in him because we saw it when he was at Ajax. But it's just not working at United at the moment. So what do you think, Jarvis? Do you think the team's going forwards or backwards? Or is it just hard to tell with all the injuries we've got? And what do you think?
Yeah. I asked myself a question the other day, and that was, how much did Ten Hag get out of the team last season? How many percent? If I should give a percent from 0 to 100, and I would say that getting third after that Rangnick Solskjaer season before, the year before, getting third, winning the League Cup and getting to the FA Cup final, having a good deep run into the Europa League. I would say he got maybe 95% out of the team, and that's really high. I would rate that really good.
Yeah.
So in a way, he overperformed. He trusted a small group of players. He played them, he run them completely down. We had a lot of injuries. We had fatigue. We see now this season a burnout. And I feel it's a little bit deluded to think that he could do the same and replicate the same this season with almost the same group of players. He did whatever he could to win and be good last season to get us into the Champions League. But he's not getting backed. He got a couple of players, but we knew that he wanted Kim Min-jae. We knew that he wanted Frankie de Jong. We knew that he wanted Xavi Simons. We knew that he wanted Todibo. A lot of players, but he only get his second and third and fourth picks, and who knows if Mason Mount was even a pick of his. And we got our signings late, so in a way, I think it's hard to judge Ten Hag. Of course, I would wish that he would have done better this season, but we have had a lot of injuries. We have the burnout from last season, and the signings hasn't been firing from start. So it's not up to Ten Hag, I think. I think it's other reasons that's why we are struggling this season. But I think we will come good. And I think this will be the turning point of our season, and I believe we will start winning from now.
Do you think he'll start with the same team against Luton that he started with last night?
The team we started against Copenhagen was a transition team. I think we will dominate the gameplay more against Luton, so I think maybe he will start Mason Mount instead of McTominay.
Is it McTominay?
Or Eriksen. I'm not
Eriksen,
sure,
yeah.
100% sure where he wants Mason Mount to play. I know he loves McTominay because the deep runs into the box McTominay have, that's one of McTominay's biggest attributes. But I see Mason Mount more as they call it the roaming 10 or the deep lying playmaker. I can see him play that role, but then he has to change with Eriksen. Yeah. But McTominay yesterday was good. I liked what I saw from McTominay, but he also lacked a lot of things because McTominay he doesn't have the awareness when it comes to dangers, sensing dangers, because he was like the DM yesterday. He don't have he don't sense it. McTominay is a player who is really good to do what the manager tells him to do, but he doesn't have the footballing mind to understand and sense dangers. If the manager say, okay, keep centrally, you will defend this area, he will stay there. But if there's an open player in the left channel, he doesn't sense it. He doesn't understand it. He has to move a little bit over and have control on that player. And actually that created the two of Copenhagen's goals yesterday, because he didn't sense the dangers. So for me, that's the danger with playing McTominay. He's not tactically astute enough to play in that role.
Okay. It's interesting point.
Yeah.
Moving on to Malks. So he said he feels that, also feel he's created a culture of complacency in the squad. Too many bottlers who know their place is pretty much nailed on, regardless of form or effort. I think, Malk, I agree with this to a point. But I think what we saw starting Rashford over Anthony was a little bit of a change of that. It's not a case of you're always going to get a game. You're not always going to get a game because your name's Anthony and because you're one of my greatest players from Ajax, sort of thing, who are really wanted in the team. So I think seeing that change is just showing a little bit of difference. He's a little bit unsure. Everyone was saying Reguilon, he's going to be nailing down the left back spot. He didn't. He came back. He was given a chance. It didn't work for him. He took him straight back out and put Dalot straight back in. So, and I'm not saying Dalot's obviously got his mistakes, which we saw again yesterday, switching off at last minute. His concentration is his biggest issue. And I don't know how you fix that. You can train someone all day to where to run, how to watch, what to do, how to run with the ball, how to stand. But when it comes to just focusing for the full time, I don't know how you can train. I don't know how you can train that. So who else have we got? Mark Davis, who just makes sure I've caught everybody now. I think there's been quite a few more people who's been commenting in the group. Stephanie Griffiths, absolutely. Slow motion, freeze frames, always makes things look worse. Very harsh and unlucky decision on Rash, but team needed to concentrate more after the bad decisions. 100% completely agree with that. We especially when we went 3-2 up again, and we had the chance to go on and hold that just with the 10 players, just play a little bit deeper, just stop trying to score more sort of thing. I'm not quite sure what the mindset was. You go back to sort of years ago with like Vidic and Rio and that kind of team.
Yeah.
And when you've got the game won, you, regardless of how many players you've got, you play it around the back, you pass it around, you tire the team out, you stop making silly mistakes and silly passes. But we just didn't seem to have that in us at all. Do you think that the team do you think that's a management thing? Or do you think it's a mentality of the players?
On the comments from Stephanie, you think with that decision?
No, generally on Ten Hag, for the bad decisions. Yeah, so she's saying the team needs to concentrate more after some bad decisions. Do you think the way that United carried on playing after they went 3-2 up, do you think that's down to the players, to the manager?
Yeah, but every group, we are humans, and when disasters happens, we tend to like panic in a way, and that's why we have in every group there's like a hierarchy of some of them are leaders and can lead the group when going gets tough. In this group of players, I don't see we have those kind of players who will lead the team and help us through the difficult periods. Our captain is Bruno Fernandes. He's very erratic. He's people call him petulant when he yells at the referee. He waves his arms, and he doesn't like. He's not very calm and helps the player concentrate and guide them through the difficult times. That's why I love playing Johnny Evans, and him coming off was a big loss yesterday. I believe maybe if we have had Johnny Evans on the pitch, we would have managed the rough period, the last 15 minutes in the first half when Copenhagen really attacked us. You could see Varan coming on. He didn't look happy. He didn't look at Ten Hag when he was subbed on. He didn't say anything. He came and said hello to the players, but he looked angry. But I think in the response, because I think he felt that he shouldn't be benched because he's better than Evans and Maguire. And he's probably right. He's a much better player. He's a pedigree player. He's the Rolls-Royce Varan. He's won the Champions League 4 times. So we shouldn't be benched. But we could see it yesterday that I think he's lost it. He's not good enough at the moment. So he deserves to sit on the bench. Oh, you're on mute, Mick. No, Phil. Phil,
can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yeah, now I hear you.
I think I unmuted me as you unmuted me and put me back on mute. So
okay.
He was part of the mistake yesterday. But I'll tell you someone who is not part of the mistake, someone who is part of the stage. Welcome. Here he is, football power hour himself. How are you doing, Pappy? Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm all right.
How are you feeling?
I'm all right.
How are you feeling several hours later?
I'm all right. I'm doing as best as I can given the circumstances. It's just like one of those things where I watched the game over today, and we were very unlucky. Things went against us, but I'm doing good. I can see that the players have not given up on the manager. that part I can, attest and say, there is a moment where, I was sort of having, let me understand, Phil, where we are in the crisis. Are we in that moment of turbulence where the players have started to sort of like really, really, really disintegrate and have like different camps? But I saw some fight. I know many decisions went against us, and we had moments too where we could have probably changed the game. And when looking back at that, Phil, I remembered also that Harry Maguire hit the post. That was kind of like, I forgot about that moment. So yeah. I'm upset, but it is what it is. Phil, you're on mute.
Try again.
Yeah, it's not
right,
me.
there we go. I'm back again. I keep going on mute. I don't know what it is. I must be catching a button or something. But yeah, I mean that strike from Harry Maguire, what a way that would have been fantastic. But unfortunately, when things are against us, they are against us at the moment. Yeah. Pappy looks as upset as Varan. Is Varan upset because he's losing, because he's on the bench, or because he's making mistakes? That's my question.
Well, here's the thing. I wanted to actually, rebut what Jarvis said and say, I know he looks rusty, Jarvis. He's rusty because he's been on the bench. He's been more or less fit like the last 2-3 games, or available, and he's been on the bench. And of course, he came in. There is something to be said about the body language that he didn't even say anything to Mitchell van der Gaard. He didn't say anything to Ten Hag. He only took a few verbal instructions from somebody else, and that was it. He did not look like a happy Rafael Varan. But at the same time, you want a player to a typical Manchester United player is supposed to feel those feelings when they're not picked, but show what they really feel on the pitch and not have a moment of lapse of concentration or a moment where they sort of, give away the game. But I also want to mention that Rafael Varan at that moment was on the right center-back position, and Harry Maguire was on the left center-back position. And if you guys had tuned into, or if anybody had tuned into the press conference when Ten Hag was speaking about the center-back pairing of Rafael Varan and Harry Maguire, he said it is actually problematic. It's funny because I thought you guys were going to go on later, in terms of like the time, but Mick told me a different time. But Mick, whatever, we'll get to you later. But I was just looking up the quotation from Erik Ten Hag when he said, this is what he said about when he was asked about Maguire and Evans, and leaving out Varane on the bench versus Manchester City. He said, I quote, all right, I said it from the start. I was here. I just explained it. I said, why? When you face City, they will go up to press. Then to play with Rafa and Maguire on the left, that can be giving problems. And you end up only kicking long balls. And for me, he is better on the right. Harry, especially against teams who press high, off quote. Yep. Now, that moment when Rafael Varan, when we saw that rusty moment where he didn't know how to control that ball, where was Rafael Varan? On the right center-back position, and Harry Maguire. This is the same nightmare, tactical center-back nightmare that Ten Hag was describing versus a team that presses high when we were playing Man City a few days ago. And now this is Copenhagen pressing us high in this moment, So it was one of those things where, I understand he did. I don't think he did it as a way to sabotage the team or anything like that.
No.
It's just a moment where he's just rusty, and Ten Hag's assessment of that pairing, it was talked about versus City, and he did it here because we had to make an emergency substitution because Evans got injured.
Yeah. But my question when it comes to Varan is how will he respond to this? Because he was angry. Everybody saw he was angry coming on, but his performance validated Ten Hag's decision on benching him. So now it's up to Varan. He's 31 years old. He's probably playing. Let me finish. He's probably playing his last. He's probably playing his last season for Man United.
Oh, yeah.
We know he's linked to Saudi, and he has a pedigree. Maybe he feels it's beneath him to play for Man United at the moment because we're not performing. So he's not 100%. He's not 100% focused. But he needs to make a choice if he wants to fight for his place, or he just want to leave. And I think it's we will see in the next months how he will respond to this, because I think Ten Hag has made up his mind. He wants to play Evans and Maguire up until Martinez comes back. Or Luke Shaw.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And that was a moment for him to show that, like, hey, if I'm given the opportunity, I can, I want to take it, I want to take that spot from Evans. That's what you want for natural competition for positions at Manchester United for any player. It's not just a target on Varan. But I agree with you that it seems like Ten Hag might be done with him. And there is something that's definitely seems like Ten Hag has this culture of dealing with players. Sometimes when he's done with you, he's done with you. And Ronaldo had to go do an interview to force an exit. Sancho, you could do an PS Morgan right now and then you'll leave, or you could wait till January. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want a quick response. I think that's a misunderstanding of Ten Hag. I think he's very tough, and when he says he's done, he's not done, but he expects something from the player. He expects a response when he puts them on the bench. He wants them to perform, train harder. He's not
It's not a misunderstanding. It's a pattern, Travis. It's a pattern.
Yeah, and the pattern is, but we have spoiled players at Man United. They are not used to this. They are used to the pampering. But Ten Hag, he has demands, and we could see it in Maguire. He said to Maguire, "You're out." He hardly played 5 minutes last season, but now he has come back. He has fought his place back to his place in the team. He said in the summer he didn't want to leave. He was training extra. He was training hard. So that's the response Ten Hag wants. That's what he wants from Sancho also. It's not about him pushing out players. He wants more from them. He wants the response.
No, I think we're agreeing. Like, he pushes you out so you can fight your way back in, because he wants a warrior type of player. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's like it's up to the men. It's a challenge mentally for that player to be, okay, are you going to rise up to the occasion and fight for the place? Whether you're given 10 minutes, what are you going to do? For me, I also want to mention this. I don't know if you guys talked about it earlier on. I have questions about why do we have 2 goalkeepers on the bench when we have a Donny van de Beek? Why did we register 2? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. It's like we're sort of like shortchanging ourselves before even. I understand if you're done with Donny, you're done, but push him out so he can find a way back in. Don't push him out and lock the door by not registering him.
Yeah,
and on that.
When I just have a quick response. Sorry, Phil. When it comes to Donny van de Beek, because he was linked to Real Sociedad this summer on a loan. The thing is, he was also linked to a French club. What was it, Lorient or FC something?
Lorient,
yeah. And they offered him a loan, but Donny rejected. He was waiting out for Real Sociedad, but then Sociedad bought the Russian player, and they didn't want Donny. And then Donny said, "Okay, I want to go to Lorient," but then they said, "No, you rejected us at the first place." So then Donny didn't have any place to go. He was trapped. But Ten Hag had to give him the notice that he didn't want him. He needed to find a new club.
And Maguire
was a little bit pissed on Donny because he couldn't make up his mind and just move on with his footballing career.
Yeah, Jarvis. And
he wasn't in Ten Hag's plans.
Let's just jump into that, guys. So between the both of you, listen to what you're both saying. So So the thing is, taking on board what Papi's saying, what Jarvis is saying. If Donny van de Beek, if Ten Hag is wanting it as in line with what Papi just said, if he's wanting to give his players a chance to fight for something, then he's got to he's got to give him a chance to fight. I mean, are we seeing Donny still actually training with the first team? Because at the end of the day, we're at a point where we're trying to get it. We're going on about injuries all the time. We're saying we can't put a starting 11 together. We know that Bruno. I think the problem you've got Bruno, Mount, and Van der Beek, who all play in a very similar position. And so you could say we've got a wealth of talent there, but actually Donny van der Beek's completely lost his form, although every time he's played for us he's done quite well. Whether we're just not quite sure what's going on. I don't understand what happened to Donny. I don't understand that situation. He was a choice of Ten Hag from Ajax. You know, we know that he had that previous connection. That it's going to work. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
exactly, Phil.
So why why are we not seeing it? There's got to be something. Is he just a strong manager where he says, look, I've told privately this is the situation. You sort this situation out. You're welcome back in. Like he keeps saying with Sancho, he says whenever he's asked in the interviews, he knows what he's got to do. That's it. That's all we're getting. So is it a case of he's got to say sorry? He's got to say sorry to the team. He's got to. I mean, he's not allowed to train at the moment. So again, going back to what you were saying, Pappy, and what you were saying, Jarvis, he's not being given the chance. Is it just a case of he's got to say sorry? Because if it is, then he is killing his career. All this talk about going to Real Madrid and stuff. I'm sorry, you know, you wouldn't get into. Anywhere, you know, at the moment you've got to be playing for someone. You've got to be showing a little bit of something, a bit of fitness, a bit of effort. If it's about attitude, why would you take that on? You know, this is someone we're desperate at the moment for goals. We're desperate for creativity, and when he was at his best, he's the sort of player who should be screaming and fighting Anthony for that right wing position. Because Garnacho and Rashford are pretty much nailing down the left. Garnacho taking over Rashford at this point. And at the moment, Rashford is now fighting Anthony for right wing. So if Sancho is going to be given a chance, he's got to stand up and say, look, January, he can't just keep saying I'm waiting for January. I don't get it. As a professional, anybody in any job in the world, 33 likes, people. Come on, that's about half here. So keep hitting that like button. Don't forget to keep hitting like and subscribe. But if you know, for anybody in any job in the world, if your boss says to you, "Look, you're not performing very well. You're going to have to work a bit harder if you want to fit into the team." You don't just sit there going, do you know what? I don't want to. I don't want to work harder. I'm not interested in that. Somebody else will come and get me eventually. It just doesn't make sense from a human perspective, not just from a footballing perspective. Anyway, I think we'll probably kill that question to death. Next question on from Mark Davis. Good question, I think. Do you think, obviously this was before you joined us, Pappy, but we've been chatting a while. Do you think that United can finish second in the group? Because obviously we've got Galatasaray we've got to beat, and I think it's going to be dependent on other results. Can we beat Bayern Munich if we turn up? Are they going to turn up with half a side? Can we do it? Can we beat Galatasaray first? Because they were saying that we've never beat Galatasaray in this competition. What's your thoughts?
So Galatasaray is a very tough team. I gotta be honest with you. It's actually a tougher opponent than Copenhagen. And I honestly think like we were capable of taking the 3 points, but we just need to mentally be in a place where we're stronger and in a place where we actually take advantage of the game. And for me, I need to see a little bit more tactical flexibility from Ten Hag. Seeing us go 2 goals up and then give away, like that. Like a lead like that, even if you lose a player, that's no excuse. Like we even went a goal, we went a goal ahead, and you're supposed to still find a way to manage the psychological element of the game and emotional element of the game as well. So the biggest hurdle is Galatasaray. If we get the 3 points from Galatasaray, which we're capable of, as I said, we will be able to just put our faith on Thomas Tuchel and say, please play the C team, because he also has to make sure that he is preserving his best players, because at the moment, in terms of like Bundesliga standings. Like Bayern Munich is not at the top, that chasing down Leverkusen, and Thomas Tuchel has to make sure that he's resting his biggest guns and making sure that he's doing rotation as much as possible. So, that Bayern Munich need to secure, and then Thomas Tuchel needs to really play his C team for us to go ahead and win both games. But the biggest hurdle, we need to just focus on Galatasaray and be real, because right now, even Europa League is not even in our league.
Copenhagen, if Bayern Munich are going to start playing reserves, Copenhagen could beat Bayern.
Yeah.
Galatasaray, no one's taking it. Everyone just saying United's got to do this. It's not even in our hands. There's absolutely nothing we can do. So to go back to the question, can we finish second? Yes, we can mathematically. It's only 1 point difference. But the team in second and fourth right now are both going to play the teams at the top. So a lot depends on the next game. I have to agree with what John Johnson's saying about the actual team. Last season, we had a set-up back four. I've said this so many times, and a keeper. I mean, the thing is, not only are we having a changed back four all the time because of all our injuries, but we've actually got a new keeper who's learning to play with a defence. So if Onana would have come in with a settled back four, he still would have struggled to settle a little bit for the first few weeks or month or whatever it might be, because he's got to learn how his players to play, whether he can take that ball on his left or on his right foot, or whether he prefers it, a little bit in front of him or whatever it might be. And whether you can take a high ball, whether take it on whatever. They need to learn each other's abilities. So not only have we got a new, I think, I'm not saying De Gea is a better keeper than Onana or we should have kept with him, whatever. But if we'd have had De Gea, I don't think would have, because of the injuries we've had, I don't think we'd have had the same problems. So I think it's all together. It's not just the back four we're struggling with; it's the back five from that perspective. And I think that is a big problem. And we're just trying to learn to get through that. So yeah, moving on. Yeah. Just having a quick look through the VAR and make sure I've not missed anybody out. Luan, good evening. Good evening, Luan. Hope everyone's doing well. Same to you, Luan. It's good to see you on the chat. Lilish United, good evening. Hi to everybody on the chat there as well. Why aren't there any conversations in the media of VAR inconsistencies? They spent 4 days moaning about Wolves' penalty, not giving one against United. So I'm going to start this because we're going to come back to it in a very short while. I'm just going to say a few more shout outs while Jarvis grabs his information he's been looking at today for us, because this is one of the questions that we've got for tonight, Marlon. We're going to be discussing some of the VAR decisions that have been going around recently. And we've already mentioned Pappy at the top of the show about the fact of Endo did the exact same tackle as tonight as Rashford did last night, and it's been given as a yellow card. Rush Mano, good evening. Brand's had a bust up with ETH. Player isn't happy at all. Almac, ETH problems start with his transfers. His talent identification is horrendous. He had bad luck with injuries, the rest, but he's had to take the blame for wasting 400 million. I don't agree on wasting 400 million. I think he's learning to get the team to, as part of the transition with the changes, with the injuries, trying to get players in. I don't think 400's wasted. I think some we've questioned and we've already touched on the show. Some maybe don't fit into the United's. Craig, good evening, Craig. We were 2-0 up. Rashford was sent off. It was controversial. We can see what it was given. We need to be more disciplined and see out the game. Completely agree with that, Craig. That's what we've been saying. We need to find a way to look after ourselves when we're in those positions. We were 2-0. We were 2-0. Went to 2-2. And then we had the chance to 3-2. We had a chance to carry on and hold out for the win, and we didn't do it at all. Defense, Varan, Dallo, Need, Sell. Good evening, Lucky Singh. Good evening. I think that is all the comments that I've missed. So I just want to go back to this. So yeah, why aren't there any conversations in the media of VAR inconsistencies? You'll hear it as a passing comment, but what you don't hear of it is comparisons. Now I've seen Swedish Rumble. He's put a post out today I don't know if that's the one that you're going to be sharing or not, Jarvis. Is that the one?
Yeah, we can try.
He's showing
We can
some
try.
different games. Yeah, we're going to try and show that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he shows different games, similar situations, and you're not seeing eggs for eggs.
Yeah, but because of copyright, we gotta like play a little snippet and stop and talk a little bit, and yeah, I think every 3 to 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So we'll just give it a go. Let's see, here it is. If I put it on full screen, do you guys see it?
No, I don't see it.
Oh, yeah. Gotta add it to stage.
Yes.
No sound.
Yeah.
It says legal use, fair use, non-commercial use. Swedish Rumble is the source here. Here's the Onana situation. You see Onana comes out and crash, and you see the similar situation with the Arsenal. Is it against Chelsea? The goalkeeper comes out flying, and that was nothing.
No, it's not. It's not against Chelsea.
So,
it's not against Chelsea.
Who was it against?
Was that Everton?
It was too quick. It was gone.
It was too quick.
It was gone. But yeah. But the point is, it was a very similar situation, and it wasn't given.
And here you see the Man United here in red. We are on top. MUFC is the team that by far get the worst refereeing. So here we go a little bit further. See if it plays. There's a handball.
Yeah.
There's the handball. And there's Garnacho.
Wow.
And no penalty. Yeah.
So, yeah. You want to comment on that, Phil?
Yeah. I mean, there's very little to say. I mean, obviously, Papi's reaction says it all, really. You know, at the end of the day, we've seen two very similar situations. And I think some of them were in similar weekends as well. I can't remember that. You know, we haven't got all the dates and stuff written down just for the sake of, for the purpose of tonight's show, but we are seeing some even at the same time. You know, you're seeing some on the same day. You're seeing some the next day, the next weekend, or maybe a week later or whatever. But at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about: the inconsistencies with VAR. If VAR was always the same, it almost should be, to me, I think, instead of changing these referees all the time who do the VAR, they should have an appointed person for VAR, or appointed team for VAR, and that's it. You know, because and then that way their decisions become more consistent. This changing it all the time is down to.
Yeah, I think Phil. Yeah,
but it is that.
When it comes to handballs, we could see it yesterday. The two penalties given, the one for Copenhagen, the one for us. I don't think neither was a penalty in my football head. So now I can't even explain the handball rule when it comes to penalties. I don't know if anyone can in this world. Maybe the head referee in the FA can try, but I don't think even he knows.
Yeah. And actually, I gotta just tell you, Jarvis, like the penalty that we got, I thought with my judgment, I was like, oh, that's not gonna be a penalty. Like Maguire heads the ball into the other guy's arm, but then also Maguire, the penalty that Maguire conceded is very harsh, you know. So it's like very much like the rules keep on changing, they fluctuate. I do not even understand. It's just way too subjective, you know.
Yeah. So let's just move on this little snippet. Another handball.
Wow.
And here's the handball, with the, I think it was Sheffield United.
Yes.
No, And this is the holding against City when you see Hojlund wraps his arm around Rodri, and Rodri drops down. And now we will see the one against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Gabriel wrestling down Hojlund, and they didn't even check it for VAR. So the inconsistency of the referees, that's one of the biggest problems. Do you see it again? It's actually strange that they didn't even look at it.
Yeah.
So
this is so weird. It seems there's a little bit of a conspiracy against Manchester United, where it's the goal that we score has to be thoroughly checked. Everything has to be like examined to the 9th degree, and then moments like when we're supposed to be having a subjective call go for us, it doesn't happen.
Phil, are you back?
I am. Sorry, my internet completely cut out and I couldn't do a thing about it. I just saw it disappear.
It's okay.
Thanks for obviously coming on. We're just seeing so much. When we actually got that penalty decision yesterday, I just thought they were going to find a way to not give it. Had they not given one earlier in the game, then I think they probably wouldn't have done. But I felt that they just had to. They had no choice because it was so similar to what had happened earlier. It couldn't not do. This goes back years before even VAR, the inconsistencies and things like that. But with VAR, it's there to stop all that. Somebody just said in the chat. Then I can't remember who it was. I just caught it. Saying I don't want to be a team who just moans. I want to get out there and win. Well, absolutely, yeah, we get that. But at the same time, we do. But certain decisions, you've got to go. When someone's giving a penalty against you, it's bad enough when you don't get it yourself, Then it's up to you to go out and score the goal. But when your inconsistency is because it's been given against you and you're not getting the same things, that's when it becomes even harder to take, because that you've got a greater chance of scoring a penalty than when a penalty is given, everyone cheers and shouts. They don't think, oh no, we're not going to score this. Do you know what I mean? The expectation is you're going to score. You've essentially got a free shot at goal. So I think that for me, the part that hurts the most is when it goes against you and the other team get given the awards more than when we don't. That for myself. But the holding consistency, and as I say, I think the only way to actually find some consistency is to have a team of just VAR referees, the same team week in, week out, who learn to play together, so to speak, like a settle back 4, a settle back 5, whatever it might be.
Good point. The thing with VAR, Phil, I believe it's the problem. 10 years ago, I could accept that the referee did a mistake, even though it was harsh. And even the Nani, when you talked about the Nani red card against Real Madrid in the Champions League and stuff like that, you could actually accept that the referee could do a mistake. He could only depend on his own eyes and maybe the linesman or assistant referees, as they are called now. But now, today, it's even worse because you have all those cameras, you have people, you have the technology, and they still get it wrong. And that's what's so frustrating, because it's harder for me to accept that they get things wrong when they obviously have it on screen right in front of them. And it looks for me like they're like making up the rules as they go. As we talked about against Fulham, the subjective offside on Rashford. No one has ever heard about the word subjective offside. That it's just rubbish in my mind.
I think the thing is as well with VAR, they seem to be spending more time on drawing lines for an offside than reviewing a drag back situation, someone being punched in the head, someone standing in the way, that kind of thing. To me, that's the sort of thing VAR could assist with better. That's where they can improve their consistencies, because they're that intent on trying to get these lines in the right position to see if somebody's cut the toenails that day. Back to your toenails again, Jarvis. If someone, if someone's cut the toenails, or whether they've combed the hair into a forward quiff. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what is? It's absolutely ridiculous. So. I think if they want to, when VAR was first introduced, everyone was like, all right, okay, what's going to happen here? This is going to help us. This is going to be interesting. Thank you very much. Good to see. And then the first complaint was, it's taking too long. Taking too long. No one knows what's going on. There's no communication. Nobody's got any idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Then it was, so then they on VAR, they started to panic. They started to panic and be like, penalty all day. Oh, no, it's not. It's United. Then they started to try to speed up the process and make quicker decisions to please the public. But then they were making more mistakes. So then they've slowed it down again. But only sometimes, to me, the inconsistency is if X happens, X should be reviewed. If they want to stick with it, they've got to have, if this happens, it's a check. If this happens, it's a check. If this happens, it's a check. There should be certain criteria. If a goal's scored, we check 3 things. Was anybody offside? Was anybody blocking? Was that offside, like blocking the keeper's view sort of thing? Were they interfering with play? And Harry Maguire the other day, where he flicked did he flick the header on, or he just missed his head? I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and at that point you're talking micromillimeters of a line. Well, and something that I cannot understand, why, with all the modern technology and this 4K UHD quality TV that they can sell you for £20 a month, can't they get an unblurred vision of VAR? Go figure. Do you know what I mean? Why is it blurred? Why is it blurred? My phone can do better.
Yeah, and another thing is, I believe the referees have discussions about a certain situation. It's almost like they are trying to be the best who knows all the different rules and paragraphs in the rule book. And someone says, like a lawyer in a trial comes up, but remember in 1978 they did something that, so we have a prejudice, and they find something and like they try to impress each other. It's like a nerd fest of rules and regulations, and that's the biggest problem at the moment. They don't use common sense anymore, and they don't see the game as we see the game. That's one of the biggest problems.
I mean, I think it's easy, as a member of the public who's not playing football, who's not on the pitch, who's not managing. We're the best armchair managers in the world. We're the best armchair referees in the world. We are sitting there watching it, saying, hang on a minute, and we can see it from a big distance view, I think if we're going to be fair and open and honest, and we are discussing VAR in detail, so why not? That referee has got to run around the pitch. They've got to try and see absolutely everything. They've got to have eyes in the back of their head. I know they've got a team around them to support them, but you've got the linesman who's running this way. He's trying to keep on line to make sure as that ball's played, he's got to be in the exact position that of where the front the attack is in line with the defense. At the same time, he's got to take an exact look at the moment the ball's played from perhaps 20, 30 yards behind. We're talking, human error. But with VAR, it's there to stop this and help it.
It's supposed to be video assistance, not hindrance. It's just incompetence. It feels like it's just so much of a chore for these guys that I almost dislike the fact that we are seeing sometimes moments where it feels like Manchester United has the ball possession for 20 or 30%, and then the other team has 20% or 30%, and then the rest of their percentage goes to VAR because we're watching VAR decisions happen and when we're supposed to be watching football, and And to be honest, it also feels, I have to say, the way it's been used for as a Manchester United fan, it feels like we have had zero luck, like -1 luck with VAR, because all the moments that it's supposed to help for the quote unquote subjective moments, subjective decisions, we've had about 7 subjective decisions go against us in VAR. Like, we've conceded 6 penalties, we've had 2 red cards, 6 goals disallowed. That's just insane. That's not normal. On top of that, and the injuries
Not
we've had,
counting the Champions League.
with the injuries we've had as well, like, it just makes this season just almost like it's a
farce, isn't it? It's
a farce. It's farcical, Phil. It's really farcical,
I think let me put this question to you guys. Okay, are we making excuses for on-pitch performances? Straightforward question. I ask you, Jarvis.
Yeah, well, I'm a guy who likes to take responsibility, and when it comes to stuff like referees, okay, they make decisions. Sometimes they make the wrong decision, and I think when you start focusing on the wrong decision, you lose focus on what's really matters, and what's matters is winning the football game. So in a way, yeah, you are right. We are losing focus, and we shouldn't be using so much time on complaining about the VAR. But it comes to a point, and I think this season it has come to a point, and I think a lot of the fan base, not only Man United fans, but footballing fans all over the world, even if you support Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, Manchester City, whatever, which club, everybody feels they have been cheated by VAR this season. So I think the PGA-OML, or what's the referee association is called, needs to take a hard look at themselves and try to figure this out, because they are killing the game in a way, and that's a big problem. People are losing interest in football, and that's not good, because it's a beautiful game.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we saw a lot of us saw the Spurs-Chelsea game the other night. That was, as Stephanie just worded it, farcical. It was mad. I think there was 3 goals ruled off for offside. There was two red cards. Could have been 2 more. It was just absolute manic, that game. And then Jamie Carragher at the end of the night says, and that's why we love the game. It's the best in the world, this Premier League. And he's right. It is the best in the world. But it shouldn't be the best because VAR screwed it up. It's do you know what I mean? It's like last night we were completely in control of that game, having our best performance by an absolute mile. This is I'll tell you what, the more I watch of these, it just hurts, doesn't it? Look at that. Two players not in line of sight. Oh my word, there's 2 players.
And we could see this yesterday also on the first goal of Copenhagen. They had 1 player right in front of Onana. They didn't even check it.
Yeah. Credit has to go to Ten Hag up though. Like in the post-match press conference, Phil, like he mentioned it that there's no way like VAR did not even do a check for that line of sight. He's blocking Onana. If we score that, they are thoroughly checking that and making sure, is the goalkeeper blocking? Is there anybody blocking the goalkeeper's line of sight? That's just so horrendous. It's just like, it feels like a witch hunt by technology. These guys using technology to witch hunt Man United.
I feel by showing these examples here, we're not, it's not just like, we're moaning because we're not having a good season. I feel like we're moaning, but we're actually demonstrating why we're moaning. We're providing evidence. Thank you very much, Swedish Rumble, for putting that together. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
But and Alice as well. She's put some good statistics out this last week on on how many goals are being conceded, how many from VAR, how many have been given, penalties, etc. And Jarvis has found some great websites out there which gives lots of information showing the different teams, how it's being impacted by VAR. And this isn't United fans. This is general out there for the public to see that United are being hit the hardest by this. Have we got to change our style of play? Have we got to go back to what Real Madrid used to do? It doesn't matter how many you concede, we'll score more than you. Are we scoring enough? Do you know what I mean? I think there was 7 goals against 7 VAR decisions against us. Yep. Now, that would have been penalties or goals sort of thing. I can't remember the actual breakdown. Have you got the breakdown of it, Jarvis, or not?
Yeah, I have the breakdown, but it's not updated from the Fulham game, so there's an extra. So my statistics is 6 goals who is overturned, but it's actually 7 with the McTominay goal in the Fulham game. Yeah.
So I don't know how many points that equates to. That's something that we haven't actually cross-checked, sort of thing. I don't think, but the point being is it's having an impact, but we're not creating enough chances to score more goals, because before, in these other games that we're talking about where we've had these decisions go against us, some of them are towards the end of a game when we've not scored yet and we were gutted that we didn't get our one goal back or whatever. So we can do more in the games as well. I know we're talking about VAR at the moment, but we're also talking about Man United. What can we do as a team? Can we do more? And for the first time last night, for the first time this season, in fact, maybe the second. I'm going to say the second time. The first time I felt we clicked this season was against Fulham. Say what you want. You can say it's Fulham. You can say it's lower down the league or whatever. But we played against Wolves at the beginning of the season. We played Burnley. We played these lower teams, and we haven't performed. So it's not about playing the lower teams or whatever. It's actually turning up, having a plan, keeping the ball at our feet, making a successful pass, knowing who's around us, and being successful. And for the first time against Fulham, I believe we saw it. I know we only scored 1, but to me, it was about, after losing to Newcastle and losing to City, it was about getting a clean sheet and getting the win. We went out there, we did our job against Fulham, who were slowly climbing up the league. I think they were only 3 points behind us before that game. So, and then to go out and start against Copenhagen the way we did, with all that was being said about it's such a massive game, it's huge, and all this, and what they did to us at Old Trafford, I think the belief is coming, and I think with everything that's going against us, it's making us stronger.
Yeah,
we're starting to see it. So we, as a fan base, have to get behind the team. Stop moaning about the errors that Dalot made in the last minute and stuff like that. Really get behind them. And I know that the Old Trafford faithful will be screaming and hopefully just roar the place down, sort of thing, and suck the ball into the net, because we need to turn up against Luton and we need to get an absolute fantastic result, a win. We need to get confidence in the performance, not just getting a 1-0 win or a 2-0 win or 2-1 or whatever it might be. We need to see a good, confident performance. And then VAR, if we have a decision go again, we don't want to see VAR at all at the weekend. We don't want to see it needed, because it was so clear cut that there was no need for it. Yeah, they can check it if they want, but the fans know that there's no way that it's going to be given against us, because there was no reason for it, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Let's just play our best football. Let's get out there and let's see what we can do as Man United, because at the end of the day, we might not be playing fantastic at the moment, but we know what we can do. And we've seen Hojlund, who's not been scoring, who must have been starting to doubt himself a little bit, seeing some of the headlines in the press. Is he a waste of money? Can he still do it? He looked fantastic yesterday. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And everyone's still asking, why is he not getting a full 90 minutes? I don't know. I don't know whether Ten Hag thinks he can make a difference with someone else. I mean, I don't know whether he put Mount in to try to think he'd be playing a bit deeper across the midfield and put 5 there. I don't know. I don't understand that decision of Mount for Hojlund. I didn't get that decision yesterday.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, Phil, when it comes to the Mason Mount sub. It was terrible. The problem with Mason Mount, Mason Mount is a decent player, but he couldn't hold up the ball. So we could never get a breather with Mason Mount. And that's why we were falling deeper and deeper.
In Ten Hag's defense, Jarvis, can I interrupt you and say I feel like he wanted a little bit of a midfield presence as well. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, we were one player down. So in terms of maybe in his mind, how he thought the players should line up and how, what Mount's role would be, because he wanted Mount to play sort of a false nine position where he's helping to be a part of the midfield as well as being an attacking threat. But the question would be posed back to Ten Hag and say, when has Mason Mount ever been an attacking threat?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I slightly disagree with that. I mean, I agree with your first point about the reason he possibly brought him on, but I think when he started at United this season, I think he did all right, actually. He was taking shots. He was unlucky. The keeper was just saving them. And I don't mean like it was a trickle shots. I mean, the keeper was making some really good saves. He was getting into great positions. And I think the problem was, I don't know if you were in the show when I said it a little bit earlier, he plays in a very similar position to Bruno, his best position sort of thing. And Ten Hag's trying to say, okay, how can I fit him into my team? And trying to appease Anthony. I think now that Anthony is being dropped because of his lack of performances, it's 2 years since he scored a goal pretty much. It might be more. I'm not, it's a long time since he scored a goal. Yeah. So why is he sticking with him? Because there's much bigger problems out there than Mason Mount, who's just joined us. And he's getting in there. He's creating the tackles. He's making I'll put a question to you. Who so far is having a poorer season, Mount or Amrabat?
I'd say Mount.
What do you think Amrabat's done so far?
So it's not about what Amrabat has done. It's more about what Mason Mount hasn't done, because Mason Mount has been given a little bit more opportunity, a little bit more window to perform than Amrabat. And in terms of so Amrabat has had to wait for Casemiro to be injured. And then he's had to also wait for a moment where Casemiro also was not performing well and for him to get into the team. But he's not really obviously amazed us so much. But I have to give him his credit. He hit the post in one of our league matches. He did take a shot from outside the box and hit a post. And Mason Mount, you mentioned him, he's had shots on target, but I haven't really seen that whip that I know he has from Chelsea, that long range shot, that long range effort that he can do, and I have not seen that at all really for me to be like, oh yeah, Mason Mount, you can probably fit. Right now, he looks like the biggest misfit than Amrabat in this midfield imbalance that we have in Man United. What do you think, Jarvis?
Yeah, first of all, I want to go in here and say thank you to Angie, because she gifted 10 memberships.
Oh, wow. Well done. Thank you, Angie.
How do we add it to the screen? There it is. I don't have the controls here. I don't know how to hit the super chat link, but I will blow the whistle.
Hey, yes,
Benji, thank you. You're a legend of the channel, and we have new members. I will read out the new members. We have Kenny Mooney, we have Edward Spiteri, we have Mike Fergus, Dees Perk, we have Seamus Gilmore, Manzena, Jigsman 85, Peter Collins, RRS, and Moani Felix. So remember to thank Angie for the memberships, and welcome to the team, guys and girls.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Angie. Well done.
Big up to Angie.
We were
I was going to answer about Mount and Amrabat. For me, I think the difference, as Papi mentions, he's very right when he says Mount had a full preseason. He has got the time to learn what Ten Hag wants and to implement himself into the team. Amrabat, he didn't train with Fiorentina all summer. He was isolated. He was protesting because he wanted to come to Man United. So he hasn't played football in a while. So I believe Amrabat will come good when he gets a little bit more game time, a little bit more practice and training. And you got to remember, he comes from a little bit different culture. He's used to playing in the Italian league and the Dutch league, and now coming to the Premier League. That's a much faster league, so it takes a little bit of time to adapt. But we know that Mason Mount is Premier League proven, and he got the full preseason and everything. So for me, Mount is the biggest disappointment. But as I said in the beginning, Mason Mount will come good if he's played in the right position. That's, for me, is the roaming 10, or the deep lying playmaker, as it's popularly called. Let's just hope Ten Hag will give him a chance, but I think he don't trust him right at the moment when it comes to defensively work. So when we have the full defense, when we have Shaw back, when we have Wan-Bissaka running, and everything is firing, then I think we will see Mount in a more deep lying playmaker role.
Okay, good. That'd be good. I just liked a little comment made by Royden Frost. It's something I wasn't aware of, actually. Anthony hasn't scored in 16 games, the same as Rashford. Didn't know that. We know that, but that just underlines part of the issues that we're dealing with. We know that Rashford's seriously struggling in front of goal, not just with his shots. He's lost that belief when he comes to a one-on-one, and same on both wings. That one-on-one, we get down the wings, we're in great position with that, and then we freeze. We just don't know what to do. We just try to do a lollipop, step over, drag back, whatever you want. The ball doesn't get crossed in, which is why Hojlund isn't getting the service, why he's not getting his goals. And then we saw against Copenhagen, we played a different. We cut it back across instead of trying to cross it in and take somebody on. Quicker football, pass it, move it. We had 3 or 4 options in the box, which we've not seen for a lot this season. Hojlund's been playing on his own, trying to take on 2 or 3 defenders at once. And we know he's a big lad and can take it, but at the end of the day, you put three professional defenders against one attacker. Most of the time, the defenders are gonna come out trumps on that. So I think it was good to see him for Copenhagen for the first time in a while. For a big parts of the game, we were seeing not just Hojlund in the box, we were seeing 2-3 players in and around him, supporting him. And that's where the goal came from. Rashford down the right, played it into McTominay, I think it was, who whipped it across, cut it back. And obviously we got our first goal. But at the end of the day, I think, so Rashford hasn't scored, and he needs to, but I think his confidence can come in another way. His confidence can come when, and it shouldn't need this because he got his big contract and he's like, oh, well done, you're part of the team again now. And somebody said earlier on in the VAR room about the play, that they don't have to fight for the position. I think they're starting to have to, and I think that's making a difference. Now they're getting people back from injuries. Garnacho, he hasn't been playing well when he started, but for me, he did. I think he had his best game against Fulham. He started on the left against Fulham, didn't he? With Rashford out, and then he put that confidence with him into the Copenhagen game, and he was taking players on again and doing those dummies and cutbacks and going down the outside and stuff. And he looked like he had a bit more belief as well. So yes. I think against Luton, we'll see Garnacho start on the left and probably Rashford on the right, on the fact that he's got his red card for Galatasaray.
Yeah. It's really refreshing to see Garnacho get just more than just one game or one cameo appearance on that left-hand side. And this red card, I do not like it for Rashford, but it's also a little bit of a blessing in disguise because Ten Hag needs to face the fact. And a lot of us fans have been singing this song of like, when are we ever going to see Pellistri on the right? When are we ever going to see somebody else, not just Bruno? Put in Mason Mount for crying out loud. Let's see what he can do. He's done that position for Chelsea. So why are we not trying that Mason Mount configuration on the right and say, Bruno, you play where you're best at. Be right behind the strikers, be a number 10. Be the one who's linking up and collecting the ball from the midfield and trying to give the final pass. So I'm really, really, really hoping that like this red card is a little bit of a blessing in disguise, and we stumble upon a formation and a chemistry that Ten Hag has been resisting, and then we just go on a run. We need to We're Man United. More or less every season, we put in 10 games where we're not, losing,
Yeah.
10, at least 10 games, So when is that going to happen?
It's yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, something's got to change, hasn't it? Because I do feel it's starting to change. I keep saying it and I keep believing it because that's what I want to do. I want to believe it. I want to believe that things will turn around. We've got Luton next and then Everton, and both winnable games. I'm not saying they're going to be easy because they're definitely not, based on the form that we are in at this moment. But I mean, obviously, I think some people are saying about. I think it was Bessie just said, "Why did you take your leading scorer off in the Champions League when we need a goal?" I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether I mean, somebody else said he looked a bit leggy and stuff, but then bring Martial on. Just someone. You've got to leave someone up front as a target player in case we get that break. I just don't know. I don't know. So moving on, I think we've been talking for an hour and a half now. Just a little touch on the game that's coming up at the weekend. We've got Luton coming up. Who do you think will be the starting 11? Not putting it all on the screen and stuff, just chatting. Who do you think can make any changes to the Copenhagen side?
If you want, Phil, I can just put on this and we can just do a couple of positions together. We usually use this lineup builder, so we can try it again. These are the players I think will definitely start. I'm not sure about the midfield, central midfield, the left back, two central defenders. One of them will be Maguire, but I'm not sure if he will be left or right, and who will start in the right wing position. So, what do you guys think?
Let's ask the VAR room. Who do you think should be at left back? Do you think it should be Reguilon or Dalot? Dalot is playing quite well there, but he's making mistakes. He's switching off towards the end of the game. Do we start Dalot? Give him 65 minutes and then take him off when we know his concentration goes and bring Reguilon on? What's your thoughts? Who do you think we should start with at left back?
Yeah, I think Dalot has played the most minutes, him and Bruno Fernandes this season. So maybe just needs a little rest. He's have been the only fit center fullback for a long time. So we have been depending on him. So maybe it's time to give him a little rest. And we are playing Luton, so it should be a game for Reguilon, in my opinion.
I agree with you, Jarvis. It's time for Reguilon to get some minutes. Like, it doesn't make sense for us to sign a player that is, very good. He's a nobody can deny the fact that he's a very good player, and we had him on the bench last game. It does not make sense for you to still continue benching him in a Premier League game where we need to get some forward momentum going. Also, Dalot made some very two costly errors in the last game, so it makes sense for Reguilon.
I see the VAR room comes in here. I see Neil Driscoll. He likes Reguilon. Peter Day say Regs. We have more people. I think I saw a couple of other guys shouting out Reguilon. I can't find him at the moment. There's so many comments in the chat.
I know everyone's talking about Luke Shaw coming back, but that's a well off time off yet. Steph saying Reguilon.
Yeah, Reguilon.
Peter Day. I think we'll go with. Who
will play of Varan or Lindelof? I think Lindelof is fit, ready to play. He was on the bench against Copenhagen, and Varan, he didn't impress anyone because he was too erratic. He didn't have his head in the right place, I believe, when it come to that game. Will Ten Hag choose Varan or Lindelof?
Lindelof for me. I think that's what he's gonna do. It makes the most sense. based on the fact that, like, what the point that you just mentioned, Varan, he does not, and the quotation that I mentioned at the beginning earlier on is just like he does not like that combination of Varan and Maguire. So it's got to be Lindelof and Maguire or Lindelof and Varan.
Yeah.
Ellie was going to say something too, by the way.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the Varane situation, because obviously it's social media and there's that much rubbish out there which people just make up and sprout and look for somebody who looked a little bit sad for a split second after they'd sneezed and take a picture and say that was it, you're all down, you're out, you fell out with somebody. If something has happened with Varane and Ten Hag, then I don't think he won't start Varane. If it hasn't, and we're talking about what we're talking about, giving some match time and consistency and getting back into his game, then he might start him. We know what Varane can do. The problem we've got with our defenders is, and I know they're only human, but you just don't see as often with other professional players. I'm not going to mention any other team or any other player, but with other teams, you don't see the same regular mistakes. We have this issue where we switch off. We've seen it all season. Lindelof's done it. Varane's done it. Amrabat did it. Amrabat's done it at left back. I know he's not a left back, but he still played there. Dallow's done it many times. So, and Maguire, I think at the moment is one of our strongest defenders, alongside Wan-Bissaka. So I think Maguire's got to start. I think Evans obviously is injured, so it's gonna Maguire and Lindelof together. I'm not sure it's the greatest pairing.
Brothers.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Varane, but then he puts Maguire on the left and Varane on the right, and it's just not Maguire's strongest position. So maybe he'll start. I'm going to say Lindelof, based on the fact that he knows Maguire's playing better on the right, and I think most of the VAR rumours said Lindelof as well. So I think we'll stick with that for this position.
Lindelof. Yep. And now the midfield pivot. One defensive, one 6, 1 8. Is Casemiro back?
No, he's going to be out till after Christmas.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
We won't see him till pretty much next year, really. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. So the number 6 will be McTominay or Amrabat then.
I think he's going to start with McTominay. I think he's trusting him at the moment. He's like, I know we've touched in the show about his errors, some of his inabilities, but I think he'll start with McTominay. I think he is looking the most likely to score for us at this moment. And that's a big, important thing to what he's bringing to the game. So I don't think he's going to not start McTominay at the moment. And personally, I'm glad he didn't leave right now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Phil, and I believe it's going to be that midfield trio of Eriksen, McTominay, and Bruno, which is a midfield trio we've had before, and it was interesting to hear him talk so positively about it and say, we really, really control the game for the first 30 minutes or so, and that midfield of Eriksen, McTominay, and Bruno, I feel like he has the opportunity to try and build the chemistry from them, and just try and make it a little stronger. But Amrabat is there. He's begging for an opportunity. He's a loanee. We have to, give him a chance and see how he fits.
For me, we've got to have a progressive player in there, and I think McTominay and Amrabat, they're too similar in terms of the defensive approach. I think we need someone like Eriksen or Mason Mount who's going to be playing that, as I still call it, that carrot ball, from the back, playing it through the defense, playing that reverse pass. That's what we're missing. We're missing something like that. We've got, sort of Steph said, Hannibal and McTominay. I think Hannibal, I think that's a fair shout, but I think again, I think my problem with Hannibal, I wanted him off the other day. People were saying, "Oh, he was player of the match and stuff," against Fulham, but I wanted him off. I think he was one of our biggest liabilities because when you're playing with a yellow card, you've got to change your style. We saw him changing you saw him pulling out the tackles left, right, and centre, and that for me was a problem. That was a big impact. If he can't control himself and it gets an early yellow card, he's got to get that temperament right, because he was clearly pulling out the tackles. And I know Mount got blamed for the goal because he ran past him, but Hannibal, just before Mount got turned, pulled out of the first tackle. So to me, I think he's too much of a risk to start him.
Yeah.
Against Luton, who's going to be a bit Stoke style and coming up trying to bully us up a little bit, I don't think he's the one.
I see the VAR room comes in here. I see Percy say, Ten Hag will pick a midfielder, Bruno, McTominay and Eriksen. I think he found his combination. The first 30-40 minutes against Copenhagen was really good. They were firing, and I think they have a understanding of how to play football together. We also had a good period last season after the two first awful games. He started with McTominay and Eriksen. He waited a long time before he introduced the Casemiro into the team, and we actually performed good. We had like a run of we won against, I think, Southampton, Leicester, and we had like 4, 5, 6 games in a row with McTominay and Eriksen in that midfield pivot. So I think Ten Hag will actually choose those two together. So I think I will put up Eriksen here. The option is Mount.
So quick look in the VAR room. We've got Royd and Frosty and Bruno at 8, Mount at 10. Somebody will asking, will Bruno play right wing? Please don't put Bruno on the right wing. Eriksen, Mount, Bruno. That's what Lucky Singh said. Amrabat, Bruno, and Mount. Lots of people asking for Mount, whether it's to give him his chance or not, I don't know. Amrabat, McTominay, and Bruno. Just trying to click. Amrabat, Bruno, and Mount. Yeah, a lot of people are asking for Mount. Maybe it should be Mount or Eriksen.
Yeah, I can live with that. I would like to see him in the deep role, and maybe he can dictate the game when it comes to a team like Luton. Stephanie Griffin, hit the like button, people. So do you want me to change Eriksen for Mason Mount?
Jarvis, let me even be a little bit more aggressive, like Hannibal, and say, if you're watching this conversation, you're just chilling there, you haven't hit the like button, take a little second. It's very easy. Just hit it, smash it, just smash it. The way Hojlund has been smashing the Champions League goals, he's the joint top goal scorer right now. It's very easy. It helps the channels grow. Please. Thank you. All right.
Yes.
Jarvis, go ahead.
Yeah. Eriksen or Mount? Who will we choose?
I'm going to go with Mount.
Right wing position?
No, we're just gonna agree on Eriksen or Mount. But Phil is the host tonight, so he will have the last word. It's Mount.
Why is it Mount, Phil? Over Eriksen.
I think Eriksen is getting towards the end of his career. I think he's getting a bit leggy, and I think Eriksen can come on and change the game towards the end, whether it's either to have the maturity to control the game, to make the right passes and slow the game down, or if we are losing or we're still in need of a goal, to be able to play that through ball, play the over the top, play the distant pass. But I think to start him for the 60 minutes over Mount, over 60 minutes, 65, whatever you want to call it, I just think Mount needs a chance. I think, we talked about Varan, and I know there's other things going on with him, but we're saying that Mount's going to come good, but he's not going to come good if he doesn't get any game time. So I just think playing someone who's lower down the league and what we've been doing so far isn't working. So can we try something different? I don't know. But is he just going to mirror what he did against Copenhagen because it worked so well until we got sent off? And is he going to I think Rashford will be starting on the right. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind on that. Some people are saying Anthony will start, but I think he'll start Rashford because he knows he did nothing wrong, and he'll want to say, look, get out there, show him what you can do. You were doing it really well last night, and he'll give him that confidence. But I think it'd be good to see Mount there as well. But I know that I'm just kind of trying to get behind him just to give him a chance, because at the end of the day, he's our number 7, and I know that's a massive, massive thing to be given. It's not his. I want to see him be given the chance, and he's not going to be given the chance against higher teams in the league. So let's give him the chance while we're playing Luton. That's my reasoning. But I'm not saying he will start him. I'd just like to see him start.
Yeah. What I'm afraid of is if it becomes like this. If McTominay will be the only deep lying playmaker, and we can see Bruno and Fernandes actually running into the same spots all the time, and we could see it the first couple of games against Wolves and stuff like that. They didn't work well together with Mount and Bruno. They were always in each other's space. So that's the biggest problem. If we are playing this midfield trio, I would like to see it more like this. McTominay in the 8, Mount will be in the most deep lying role. This is how I would like to see it. I'm afraid that because the one thing we could see against Copenhagen was McTominay's awareness when it comes to defensively, to spot dangers and read the game. So for me,
I see what you're saying, Jarvis, but I gotta rebut Mount in the 6th position. I feel like he can survive 2 or 3 phases of play, but he cannot rely as Mount as a 6 in a whole 45 minutes even. That for me is a big whoa.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of Ericsson.
That's your opinion. What you would like to do, Jarvis. I respect that.
Yeah, but you got to remember when it comes to the game and how we build up the play. Usually we play with an inverted fullback, and one of the deep lying midfielders drop down and help out, because we invert the fullbacks and we play with the trio. And we could see that against Fulham. Ericsson was dropping down in this area all the time and starting the play from behind. And that's why I would like a deep lying playmaker. That's more of the role. But when we defend in in a set formation, McTominay and Mount will play as 2 number 6, like a pivot. So it will just be when we are attacking, I feel that he should drop deeper. Now I ruined everything here.
That's how the United players be, though. They don't even know what they need to be. So I totally hear what you're saying. But for me, it's one of those things where it's like Mount in that position where he's connecting with center backs is not something that he's used to even at Chelsea nor England. So it'll be a bit of an odd ask, but Ericsson is a better somebody who could probably do that or has done that before. But
playmaker. Yeah.
So actually Ericsson will be a better fit into this team, you reckon?
Yeah, I highly reckon.
Yeah. Okay, then we go back to Ericsson. So now for the right wing,
Rashford.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt.
Rashford over Anthony. But my question is, where's Pellistri gone?
Good question.
Yeah, it's just you see these sort of players disappearing to Ten Hag Bermuda Triangle. We've lost Van der Beek, we've lost Pellistri. They just disappear. It's like where did he go? Do you know what I mean? It's like last you see of them, never to be seen again. I don't know. But yeah, let's go with that.
I see you, Red Ray says I think Rashford but I would prefer Pellistri. And to be honest, my opinion is also I would prefer Pellistri. I would like to give him a go. I like the kid. He is really he has great frequency in his legs. He's like a dynamo. He runs a lot. He works hard, and he has the ability to go cut inside. Or go to the byline and on the outside and have a cross into the box. And he also roams in the number 10 role, so he can interchange with Bruno. So Pellistri, when it comes to Rashford, he's more static. He will run up and down that line or cut inside. So yeah, for me, I would go for Pellistri. But I saw something from Rashford the first 30 minutes, except from the red card. He looked like he was turned on again. He was switched on, I mean. And
Whoa, Travis.
switch on. Sorry for my Norwegian English. So yeah, I think he will start Rashford if I was Ten Hag.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we need to bring this show to a close. Let me ask you your score predictions, guys. It's been 1 hour 50. We're one or two people saying good night. They're off to bed now, so it's good night for those who've had to go. But thank you for the rest of you who stuck with us. But yeah, what's your score prediction based on the lineup we've just submitted? Start with you, Jarvis.
Yeah, I think we will score a lot of goals. We actually found out how to provide Hojlund, and that's the key. Now we know how to play. And Pellistri feeds Hojlund and Rashford feeds Hojlund. So, and Bruno. So if we can get Hojlund going, we can score a lot of goals. So I predict my gut feeling says 4-0. 4-0 United.
Oh, well, okay. I think once Hojlund gets his first Premier League goal, and certainly after his Champions League goals again, the way he scored, I mean, the right place, getting a good contact there. You know, I think once he gets one, they'll just start to keep going. Then I think the goals will come. I think he's just going to get that first goal. United 1, VAR 2. Well, thank you very much for that. As long as it's still United 1, VAR 2, Luton 0, that's okay. I'll take that. Yeah. United 1, Luton 1, Mark Davis. Lillis, United 1, Luton 3. Oh dear. 4-1, Hojlund, 4-0, Hojlund brace. 4-2 Hojlund hat trick. People are believing in Hojlund again, which is nice because, you know, I think there was that much in the media in this last week about the fact of, you know, if we made a mistake, we wasted money on him. We've got a young striker, not a washed up superstar. Absolutely. Yeah. Great good post. Comment. Great post. Maguire hat trick, fantastic. I tell you what, he is looking like he's going to score soon with his foot more than his head, I think. But again, Maguire getting into, you know, one thing that really I just do not get from set pieces. I can't remember us having a regular goal scorer from set pieces since Vidic. We've really missed that. You know, you get a corner and you don't even get excited. Oh, we've got a corner. It's like we've got a corner. Oh well. Oh well, we've got a corner. But yeah, moving on. So Angie 3-0 United. If we do this, then we get something Bruno Eriksson shares your regular on. Steph 49 likes. Can we get one more? One more, guys. One more. If you've
one more like top 50 likes. Come on, we can do it. We can do it. We can do it.
An Anna assist. It is possible. It is possible. Yeah. United win 1-2. Credit to Maguire. Yeah, absolutely is. He's playing well at the moment. Really good. Really made up for him. So, what's your prediction, Pappy?
So I'm gonna go with a 3-0 prediction because I feel like we finally found a configuration that works. As long as we don't get a red card, we will win. You know, like we surprised Copenhagen, and I think Rashford on if it's Marcus Rashford on the right, we will actually be able to hurt them because guess what? Marcus on the right is forced to cross. He's not. He doesn't cut in and become selfish again. So let's keep that going, Erik. You know that's why I'm at with it. I feel we'll do it. We'll win it. 3-0.
Yeah, I see Matt Yard said the same.
Yes. We totally agree on the same point. Yes.
I'd love to see a 4-0, but I'm gonna just based on the fact that we are a little bit more apprehensive in the Premier League, and Copenhagen was you had to win. We didn't, but we had to. So our mentality was very different. Unfortunately, I think every game should be a have to win. but I think it just felt different. So I just wonder if I think what we've seen too much of in the Premier League this season when we're starting our games, we're not coming out like, dare I say it, Arsenal and City, like going for you straight off from the first whistle. We're almost kind of like just, okay, yeah, let's see what happens today. Let's see what happens. We're not going for it from the off, but that's what we need to see. We really need to see that. But I don't think we will. I think we'll be a little bit more reserved now. I'm going to say, still going to go for the win. We're going to say 2-0.
Yeah. Well,
I'd love to see 3 or 4. That's always my prediction, 3-0. But I think the fact that we've not been creating the chances, if we create the chances, Hojlund will take them. But we're not creating the chances. So maybe Rashford on the right, through circumstance, might actually be unlocking a little bit of a Pandora's box. Let's see what happens.
But Phil, it's Luton Town. They've only have 6 points. If we can't beat Luton Town convincingly, then we should be in the championship. I'm sorry. We're not even we shouldn't even be. We can't even think of ourselves as a mid-table team. If we can't beat Tahith Chong, Luton Town, come on. They've only had one win out of 11.
One question. What was the last game?
Let's not look at our current form right now.
Liverpool.
Just saying. And that's the reason I'm being a little bit more reserved, because
our last game obviously was Copenhagen, but then prior to that was Fulham, and we scraped through Fulham and got a 1-0.
We controlled Fulham with a 1-0. That's my opinion. But I think that's why I'm saying 2 with Luton, because I think we'll try to get control. And then I think we'll get the goals, but I think a lot of it is about not conceding. Really do. So yeah, absolutely. We should get the win, but if we go with the wrong mentality like Liverpool did and turned up thinking it, I was talking with my mate saying, how many are you going to score? How many are you going to win by today? We were talking 4-5, getting a great difference. Not at all. And they turn up with the wrong attitude. And if we do, we're out of there. Great show, Jarvis, Phil, and Pappy. Night, folks. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you for joining us. Thank you, everyone. There's many of you on your way out now. So I think that is also us on our way out as well. Thank you, everyone. Good night, everyone. Peace, love, and onana. We can say that again. So Jarvis, Pappy, thank you very much for joining us. Jarvis, Pappy, I know you were given the wrong starting time. Let's hope United are given the right time on Saturday.
They better know what time kickoff is. You're right, Phil.
3 o'clock UK time.
We will be there. We're going to do the watch along. Make sure you hit the notification bell. We will be doing the watch along, and also hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so. We've also been streaming to Football Power Hour. Make sure you subscribe to my channel as well. Big up to you guys. We out.
Big up.
Thank you, everyone.
Peace, love,
good night. Thank you to everybody in the VR room. Thank you to Angie for giving your memberships out. Thank you to everybody for all your comments, all your chat, all your interaction. Couldn't do it without you. All the best. Good night.
Oh, we're doing the quiz on.
That's all, folks.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.
Who's that? Did you guys just see the last comments?